Okay, there we go. All right, last time. All right, knock it off. Last time we were talking about data structures. And of course, this was just review. So if this doesn't feel like review, well, it better. And we finished up with the toString. And I'm just going to hit this again. So toString is, of course, the way we want to produce a string representation of our collection. But unlike the simple friend object, which had a very obvious, straightforward, maybe obvious isn't the right word, but a more straightforward string representation where it's just, we follow that typical convention of class name followed by the value of the fields and parentheses. What on earth are we going to do for something like this collection? Now, for a moment, think back to what would happen when you printed out a list in Python. It would print out the string representation of all the elements in the list, like an aggregate. So let's do the same thing here. We've got a list. So how about we show an aggregate view of all of the contents of our contact list. And so we're doing it with something called a string builder. But before we do that, let's just go show. I'm going to call print line contact. I'm going to do it at the very end. Print out the contents of contacts, and let's see what it looks like, and then we'll go talk about the code. So there we go. It's just all of the string representation of each of the friends. Now, they all happen to be the same friend, so let's call them. Let's do that and run it again. So it's more obvious that they're different. We just take the string representation of all the elements, all of the friend objects in our collection, and print them out. And for simplicity of view, we just print them out one line at a time. One on each line. That's what we want to do here. If you really want them to be all on one line separated by commas, sure, fine, do that. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. But the way I want to do it is like this. So if we go look at the code, I want to be clear, we can do this with regular old string concatenation. Remember how you can add strings together and it gives you back the concatenation? But also remember that strings are immutable. You can't change them once created. So when you add two strings together, it actually makes a new string. So string A plus string B produces a third new string. And if you're doing that in a loop, you might be looping like a million times, and if you're adding all these strings together, you're producing a heck of a lot of new string objects, and that could be hard on the computer. So instead what we do is we create this thing called a string builder, which you can think of as just kind of like a list where you store all of the individual separate strings, and then once you're done, and you say, okay, toString on that builder, it'll convert one big string at the end. So instead of creating like a million new strings one at a time, we just remember the million strings we want and then make one new string of them all at the end. It's just a little nicer to your computers to do it this way. So we use a string builder, and that's the way to do it. I'm running out of batteries. Who's going to warn me?